This is a story from Africa. Long ago, in a village nestled at the foot of a mountain, there lived a beautiful princess. She was known throughout the land for her stunning voice, a voice that could make the birds pause their songs and the flowers turn to her as she passed by. But despite her many charms, she was rather lonely. You see, her father, the king, had forbidden her from marrying any of the young men in their village. "You are meant for greater things," he would tell her, "for a king's daughter must wed a king's son." So the princess grew up with only the company of her ladies-in-waiting, unloved and unloved. One day, the king announced that he had found a suitable match for her, a prince from a faraway kingdom. The princess was to be married in 3 days. She sat by the window of her room, tears streaming down her face. Below her, in the village square, people were preparing for the big event. A group of men was setting up a huge tent, while others were readying the finest clothes and jewelry for the wedding. The princess felt as though her entire world was caving in. She loved her village. How could she leave it and all its people? Her gaze fell on a gnarled old Baobab tree in the square. It was massive, with branches so thick they had to be tied together to keep them upright. The villagers revered this tree. They believed it held the spirits of their ancestors and made offerings of food and water beneath its shade every evening. It was also the tree where lovers came to pledge their devotion, to carve their initials into its rough bark. The princess had watched these couples from her window and had envied their love. Could such love be forbidden? The princess turned and saw a handsome young man holding a bow and arrow. He wore a loincloth, and his skin was the color of polished mahogany. Stunned by his beauty, the princess could only nod towards the wedding procession that had just entered the square. "Do you wish to flee with me?" asked the stranger, extending his hand. "I am but a lowly drum maker," he said. "But if you love me, I will make you the happiest woman in the kingdom." In that moment, the princess knew she loved him. With a newfound determination, she took his hand and ran. They raced through the village, dodging between houses, the sound of drums and singing growing fainter with each step. When they reached the river, the princess hesitated. She had never been this far away from the palace, and the thought of never seeing her home again terrified her. Patting her hand, the young man turned and looked at her, his eyes filled with understanding. Then, taking off his cloak, he wrapped it around her shoulders and continued on. After walking for what seemed like hours, they came upon a small hut hidden amongst the trees. Smoke curled from its chimney and the sound of a gentle lute drifted from within. The stranger knocked on the door and an old woman opened it. Seeing the princess, her eyes twinkled with amusement. "Come in, child," she said. "Your journey's over." Inside the hut, the old woman gave the princess a warm smile and served them both water and fruit. Then, as if reading the princess's mind, she spoke. "You wish to know how I knew your father would bring you here? When the star-crossed lovers flee their kingdom, they become one. And wherever they go, the whispers of the Baobab guide them to safety." The princess and the drum maker spent many years in the old woman's hut, living as one and making beautiful music together. Their voices wove tales of their undying love, stories that reached the ears of every animal in the forest and every bird in the sky. One day, a royal messenger arrived at the hut seeking the runaway princess. The king had heard rumors of his daughter's whereabouts and sent the man to bring her back. But when the messenger saw the princess and the drum maker playing together, he was captivated by their joy and forgot his mission. Instead, he joined them, learning their song and adding his own instrument to their music. Soon, other messengers arrived, then nobles, and finally the king himself. Seeing his daughter so happy, his heart broke. He had only wished to protect her, not cause her pain. Falling to his knees, he begged her forgiveness and told her she was free to stay with the drum maker or return to the kingdom with him. Looking into her father's eyes, the princess saw only love and respect. She had found her voice, and now she had a new family, a family she had chosen for herself. Taking her father's hand, She led him to the old woman, the musicians, and all the villagers who had come to hear the princess's song. That day, the king learned the true meaning of love and family, and the princess and the drum maker lived happily ever after.